Oh my God, look at that picture over there. There's the Earth coming up. Wow, is that pretty.
Hello and welcome to the third session of the 2025 Astrophotography Prize judging. We're thrilled to have you join us from wherever you are across the world. Today we'll be showcasing some outstanding astrophotography as we commence the live judging of the top 26 images in the deep space category. I'm Robyn Campbell, and together with Andy Campbell, Daniel and Nathan Bingham, we've worked tirelessly behind the scenes to bring this live judging event together. This event would not be possible without the generous support of our sponsors. We'd like to extend our gratitude to our major sponsor, Celestron. Celestron have sponsored our overall winner with the Celestron Edge 9.25 HD telescope OTA. It's valued at $3,000 USD. How amazing is that? Also, we're introducing the Celestron Prize. So this will go to the highest scoring image taken through a Celestron OTA, and they will win the Origin Intelligent Home Observatory, valued at $4,000 USD. If you haven't had a chance to check it out, go and have a look. It's quite extraordinary. You can pick this thing up and be imaging in no time at all. So user-friendly. I encourage you, if you're sitting on that fence with becoming an astrophotographer, or if you're already experienced, this will make your life so much easier. Go and check it out. So we're about to judge the Astro Deep Space category. So it is sponsored by Chroma Technologies. Thank you so much to Chroma. The first prize is a voucher towards the purchase of Chroma astronomy filter or set of filters, valued at over $1,100 USD. Thank you so much, Chroma. We all know how important having just the right filter is. Our runner-up prize is from Astrophotography Store, and it's valued at $200 USD. So here's how this event will run. Each of our 26 Deep Sky finalists will be judged live by our expert panel. You'll see a real-time commentary, insights, and the occasional challenge. Scores will be displayed on screen as we go. You find out where the images are landing. Once all 26 images have been judged, our panel will then deliberate offline to determine the winner. That will come from the top 5 highest scoring images. And we won't tell you who's won until this Friday when we have our amazing awards presentation. You'll find out who has won each category as well as our overall winner. So before we begin the judging, we're going to do what's called a run through. So you'll get to see the order of the top 26 images for the category. Thanks, Daniel. I now have the honour of introducing our esteemed panel of judges. First up, we've got Alyssa Pagan from USA. Alyssa is a science visual developer at the Space Telescope Science Institute. She creates colour images from the cosmos from data collected by the James Webb, Hubble, and other space telescopes. She holds degrees in astronomy and art and design, combining her skills to produce images that are both scientifically accurate and visually compelling. Alyssa's work aims to make the universe more accessible, inspiring, and engaging for audiences worldwide. Welcome, Alyssa.
Hi, thanks for having me.
So good to have you on board. We also have Kevin Moorfield from USA. Kevin is an astrophotographer with a lifelong passion for astronomy and a university degree in photography. He's been capturing ellipses since 2002 and deep sky images since 2014, working with remote observatories in California, Chile, and New Mexico. His work has earned international recognition, including Sky and Telescope Cover, 45 Astrobin Images of the Day, Royal Greenwich Astrophotographer of the Year shortlistings, and runner-up for the Deep Sky category of the Astrophotography Prize in 2023. Welcome, Kevin.
Thank you.
Next up, we have Mike Sidonio from Australia. Mike, also known as Strongman Mike, is an Australian amateur astrophotographer, an award-winning astrophotographer as well as astronomer, with a background in strength athletics. Having studied astronomy at Dickinson's College, he's worked for over a decade at the Canberra Observatory. He has contributed to astronomy research, including the discovery of a galaxy 11 million light years away. Mike has recently completed building Australia's highest astronomical observatory in the Tinderry Mountains, and his work has been featured in exhibitions worldwide. Welcome, Mike.
Hi, everybody. How are you? Welcome to happy sunny Canberra here.
So good to hear. Next, we welcome Nico Carver. Nico is a New Hampshire-based astrophotographer and educator, known for his striking deep sky imagery and accessible teaching. As the creator of the popular YouTube channel Nebula Photos, go and check it out, he shares tutorials, gear reviews, and workflows with a community of around 220,000 subscribers. Inspired by a 2014 trip to Iceland, Nico specializes in imaging nebulas and galaxies, combining technical precision with artistic vision to help photographers explore the cosmos. Welcome, Nico.
Thank you, Robyn. I'm happy to be here.
So good. And we have Steve Boddy from Australia. Steve is a Melbourne-based, award-winning astrophotographer, music composer, and educator. And he somehow brings them all together with expertise in image processing and collaborative imaging. A member of the Deep Sky Collective and New Horizon team, he's contributed to discoveries including the SDS-01, the first identified ghost planetary nebula, and co-authored related research. Steve's work has received international recognition, including multiple NASA APODs, 19 Astrobin Images of the Day, and top honours at the Australian Photographic Prize, as well as multiple shortlistings in the Royal Greenwich Astronomer Photographer of the Year. Welcome, Steve. So good to have you on board.
Thank you, Robyn. Really nice to be here.
So we've got an all-star, full caliber panel who are just hanging out to judge some images. So without further ado, I will now hand things over to our panel mentor, Andy Campbell. So Andy is the competition director and renowned astrophotographer in his own right. He's a Grand Master of the AIPP and Fellow of the NZIPP. He's past winner of the Deep Sky section of the David Malan Awards, 4 times shortlisted for the Royal Greenwich Observatory International Astronomy Photographer of the Year, twice Australian Science Photographer of the Year, and numerous NASA APOD features. Andy will be guiding our discussion and leading the live judging session. So it's all over to you, Andy.
Thank you so much, Robyn, and thank you everybody for joining us out there in Livestream land. A very warm welcome to the Deep Space category. The Deep Space category preamble suggests that these images are out of this world and include objects such as star clusters, globular clusters, supernova remnants, nebulae, galaxies, galaxy clusters, etc. Now, the images may be taken with telescopes or camera lenses using mono or color cameras with or without filters. The purpose of the category is to award images with both technical and creative skills in photographing deep space objects. Now, for this category, the data must have been collected with the entrant's own equipment. So ideally, or for example, in their backyards, driveways, or if they're a traveller to a dark sky. So data from professional observatories such as ESO and NASA and paid subscription services are ineligible. And anyone who does remote imaging, they have their own category to follow a little later today. So with all that in mind, the judging will be, each judge will give a score for an image out of 100. We'll average that score and I'll announce that score. Now, if there's some variation within that, if a judge is more than 5 points away, they'll have the opportunity to challenge that score, in which case we'll have a debate. And then there's a majority rules. So if 2 judges think an image is a gold, but 3 think it's a silver, it'll remain a silver. Equally, if 3 judges are giving it a gold and 2 judges are giving it a silver, then that image will get its gold. So that's how the system works. And if you're all ready and set to go, we'll have the first image, please. And the entry statement here is, I aimed to capture both the keyhole and outer misty ridges of NGC 3372, combining them in a single dramatic, high contrast composition. This is taken from Buenos Aires in Argentina on a ZWO ASI 2600 Pro using Antlia filters and a total integration time of 28.3 hours. Should also mention to you in Livestream land, the judges have all this technical information at their fingertips and the ability to zoom in to 100% and pixel peep at any time. Could we have your scores, please, team? This image has scored 86. That's a very, very solid silver award. Are we all comfortable with that one? All right. So we'll accept that score. And the closest judge to that score is Mike Sidonio. Mike, could we get a comment from you on that one, please?
Yes, I really enjoyed looking at this image. I like the way it's been done in a banner style. There's been a lot of images taken of this nebula over many, many decades and centuries now. So it's hard to get something that looks a little bit different. And I think this really hits the mark in that respect. I'm loving the color. Perhaps just a little bit too saturated to make it a little few more points there, but looking at it closely under high resolution, it's really a fantastic image.
Thank you so much, Mike. Great feedback for the entrant. Could we have the next image, please? So this is a rarely imaged Type II supernova remnant, Niscutum. This dusty region reveals sweeping filaments, dark nebulae, and chaotic shock fronts sculpted by a stellar cataclysm. This is taken from Queensland in Australia in a Bortle 6 environment on an ASCAR 130 PHQ with an ASI 2600 Pro camera and Antlia filters, total exposure time of 30 hours. Kevin, I don't have your score. Thank you so much. This image has scored 86. However, this is where it gets a little bit interesting because we have a couple of judges in the gold range here, the highest of which is Kevin, and you've given this one 92, Kevin, so we're going to invite you to challenge this image. Please take it away.
All right. Well, first off, I think it's beautiful. I think it's really enjoying to look at. Looking close at it, I really couldn't find flaws. The stars have great color. It's quite sharp. I'm seeing detail all over. I thought the composition was quite nice as my eye flows across those nice blue streamers. Yeah, all I can say is I liked it quite a lot.
Thank you so much, Kevin. Now, Alyssa, you've given this a good score, just not quite as strong as Kevin's. So could I hear from you, please?
Yeah, of course. I agree. It's a very beautiful image and it's very unique. I haven't seen something like this before with sort of the tendrils. I think there's just like always just a desire to get like a little bit more of like a tricolor feel. That's just sort of like my personal sort of like the way that I do things. So it just feels a little bit like too binary, if that makes sense, like a little too red and maybe a little too blue. And then I think my eye is just kind of wondering, you know, where is this star that created this? But that's just more of just my curiosity of wondering, you know, where it is on the frame. But it is a beautiful image, honestly.
Thank you. Now, you've got some support there, Kevin, from Nico. Nico's also popped this one into the gold range. Nico, could we hear from you, please, sir?
Yeah, I think this object is a high level of difficulty, so I give it some sort of extra points there. And then I also just liked how when I just sort of, you know, unfocus my eyes a little bit, it reminds me of like an abstract painting. So I enjoyed that aspect of it.
Thank you so much. Now, Kevin, you have what we call right of reply. So what that basically means is you get one last go to see if you can persuade your colleagues, but your score will be locked in at 92.
Well, in addition to whatever has been said already, as I get really close, I love how they've handled the O3 in the filaments. I don't see it breaking up. I don't see hard edges. I think it's been very deftly handled. And as Nico said, this is a tough one. I actually am shooting it right now, and I will tell you that there's not much to see in the O3 subs until they get stacked together.
So, Kevin, please tell the panel what you'd like them to do.
Well, I'd like you to give it a gold.
Okay. All right, folks. Kevin's score is locked in at 92. You're all free to rescore now. Alyssa, just need it. Thank you so much. Oh, there you are. We have our first gold award for the day. A gold award at 90. Congratulations to the entrant. Well done.
Thank you.
And good debate there, Kevin. Thank you. Next image, please. So the entry statement is, this is the bipolar jets of the binary KX Andromedae. Image taken from Austria on a ZWO ASI 533 mm Pro, a Lacerta carbon Newton photo Newton telescope 600 millimeter, and astronomic deep sky filters. They've used HA03 LRGB, a total of 62 hours, 57 minutes. And this image has scored an average of 86. But I don't think it's going to stop there necessarily, because once again, we have two judges in gold, the highest of which is Steve. Steve, you've given this one 94. Could you take it away, please, sir?
Yeah, sure. First of all, really high level of difficulty for this target. You won't find any images of this. I think there's 2 images of this on the internet. So the photographers didn't have much reference shooting this, maybe beside research papers. Of just that alone, to me, it's just great to see something that fresh. Really difficult to process. I think the photographer did a really great job at processing it, especially with a level of difficulty. Good stars, something fresh, new structure. I'm really enjoying this kind of images in a competition context. I think it's great.
Thank you, Steve. At the other end of the scoring scale here, we have Alyssa. You've suggested there's room to grow on this one.
Yeah, I do think that it is a high level of difficulty. I think that that's like very accurate, and there's so much detail and there's so much time that went into it. I think I just want to see it maybe cropped in a bit more. I understand that sort of limits the resolution that you're getting. Obviously, there's only so much you can resolution. To blow it up a bit more, I just kind of want it to be more of the focus, and not be so sort of like that the background sort of, taking a little bit of the attention away.
Thank you, Alyssa. Kevin, you're in favor of this one. You've dropped this into the gold as well.
Yeah, I mean, and I echo a lot of what Steve said, because there is definitely a difficulty going on here. And it's not often that you come up with what is, I don't know if it's a discovery, but I mean, it's so rare and yet so pretty of an image. I do agree with Alyssa, though. I think you could have gotten another point or two out of a crop, not necessarily just to get closer in, but I think a little bit better composition. There's a little bit of a blue glow from a star that's right on the edge. I usually try to crop those out. And I think more of a horizontal crop would bring more interest and eye right into the object itself.
All righty then. Let's take you back to you, Steve, for your right of reply.
Yeah, I totally agree with the cropping ideas. There's definitely a bit more work that could be done to get more emotional impact out of the framing. But that put us, and I'm massive on that. I really love composition and framing. But that put aside, I think just with the level of difficulty and how rare these things are, to see that in a competition context, I just had to give it a gold. And I think it's at least deserving of that. So I would recommend anyone who didn't give it a gold to just consider that.
Thank you, folks. Steve, you're locked in at 94. Everyone else is free to rescore now. And the image scores 89. Very, very good image, very close. Well done to the entrant. All righty, great debate too. Next image, please. So There's no entry statement for this one, but it's taken in Australia from Coffs Harbour in the image's backyard on an ASA 2600 mm using Antlia RGB HA03 filters on a Takahashi FSQ 106 ED. We're looking at a 5-panel mosaic of each panel and 60 by 15 seconds of RGB and 48 300-second exposures for each HA and O3 of this bicolor image, a total integration time of 43 hours and 45 minutes. And this image has scored a gold, straight into there at 91. Congratulations to the entrant. Now, because this image has scored a gold straight up, we're going to just take a challenge and see exactly what the judges think about this one. We'll take it as an elective challenge because we have one judge who is higher than all of the others. That's you, Steve. Take it away, sir.
Yeah, well, first of all, I'm a massive fan of Vela. I have taken quite a few mosaic of Vela. I love processing this image. This is one of the best banner presentation of Vela I've ever seen. The colors is absolutely striking. It's not only a beautiful photograph, I think it's also a piece of art. And when I really zoom in, the way the details have been handled, it's beautiful. The blue is electrifying. Strong emotional connection. Technically, it's really bang on. It's awesome.
Thank you, Steve. Now, everyone's given this a very high score. That said, the lowest of the very high scores is Nico. You're at 87. Could we hear from you, please, Nico?
Yeah, technically, I agree with Steve. It's just perfect. I can't find any faults. For me, there's just something sort of missing with the composition. I was waiting for it to load more or something because it felt like a little bit too, like it needed a little bit more below where I'm seeing. But that's the only reason I didn't give it a gold.
Thank you, Nico. In support of this image, well, actually, before we do that, let's hear from Kevin as well, because you're just out of the gold range there.
Yeah, and it pained me to give it that 89. But I agree with Nico. That was exactly the experience I had looking at it. It's like, oh my God, this is so lovely. I wish the rest of it would load. I fully expect this to get finished next year and to really challenge for it all.
Very good. All right, back in support of this image is Mike Sidonio. You've given this one a solid gold at 92. Could we hear from you, please, Mike?
Yes, I think all the comments made so far have covered everything. It's exactly what I was thinking, all those things. I just thought it deserved 92 because it is so impactful. I thought the same thing. Is it going to load a little bit more when I first saw it? No. But I do like the way it's really well balanced with the reds on either side and the blue in the middle. It's overall a fantastic image.
Thank you, Mike. Back to you, Steve. Bring it home.
I agree with the comment about framing, and actually, honestly, when I could actually block the red patch on the left, it almost balances the frame a little bit more for me. I have done a full mosaic of this, but still, like, I think just the pure emotional impact I get from this, and just the prowess of the technicality and the processing is just absolutely, that's gold standard, 100%.
Thank you, Steve. Now, Steve has scored this at 95. His score is locked in. You're all free to rescore, bearing in mind that the highest 5 scoring images will go to the final. And this image has gone up a point to 92. So those debates are valuable and incisive. Thank you for taking that on, Steve. Well done, everyone. Next image, please. The title is Corona Australis, focusing on the gassy part of this complex and shifting the unusual globular out of the shot. This is taken from Bendelby Ranges in South Australia on a ZWO ASI 294mm Pro with a GSO RC8 telescope using chroma filters, and we thank Chroma, our category sponsor, And we're looking at an integration time of 15 hours of LRGB. Image score is coming. There it is. The image score is 85. Congratulations to the entrant. The judges are almost unanimous with their scores here. Let's take a comment on this one from Nico, please. Your score is right on the average there, sir.
Yeah, I really loved zooming in on this one. On the small details came out beautifully, right in the center of the nebula. I felt that on the edges, the brown nebula maybe could have used a bit more exposure time because they felt a little bit weak or in signal or something.
Alrighty, thank you so much for the valuable feedback there, Nico. Let's go to the next image, please. The entry statement is an explosive panorama of creation. Carina's vast pillars and windswept arcs blaze in narrowband, revealing violent stellar birth and raw cosmic power in fine detail. The image is taken in Queensland, Australia, in a Bortle 6 environment, on an ASCAR 130 PHQ telescope with an ASI 2600mm Pro. Antlia filters. The entrant has used HA03 and S2 and RGB filters for a total integration time of 28 hours and 10 minutes. Once again, for those in Livestream land, the judges have all of this technical information at their fingertips and the ability to zoom in and pixel peep these images at 100% at any time. This image has scored 84, a very solid silver award. Congratulations to the entrant. The judges are all most identical with their scoring here. So let's hear from someone local. Let's hear from Mike Sidonio on this one, because this is your part of the world, sir.
Yes, that's in the sky regularly, and it gets imaged a huge number of times. So, of course, when you're in that boat, then you need to produce something that's really well done, because it's such a commonly imaged object. And I think this photographer has done that and done it very, very well. I love the delineation of the three different colors, which you often don't see in narrowband images. People forget that there's three different wavelengths. I think the details are very well handled. I don't think the AI sharpening has been overdone, so it doesn't look, it looks natural. It's the only thing that's sort of holding it back a little bit is this a common object, so it's hard to get that little extra wow factor.
It is indeed a very popular target. Thank you so much, Mike. Well done. Next image, please. The entry statement. This is a 9-panel mosaic of the constellation Crux and surrounds, shot over a period of months in RGB and HA. This is photographed from Forbes in Victoria on a ZWO ASI 2600mm Pro using a Stellarvue SVX 80T 3SV telescope and astronomic HA and RGB filters. There's the total integration time of 81.5 hours. This image has scored a gold at 91. Congratulations to the entrant. And, oh, now this is interesting. Okay. Occasionally I get to pull up what we call a Panel Mentors Challenge. And the reason I'm doing that is because we have 4 judges who've gone straight to gold. So we want to talk about this image and we want to see what the judges are going to really think about it. So how this one works is that there will be no right of reply. I will call on some of you to comment and then we'll rescore the image. So the highest scoring judge we have currently is Mike. You've given this one 96. Could we hear from you, please, sir?
Well, first of all, how could we not love it? It's the Southern Cross, and we're in Australia. Yep. And every time I see that constellation, it just means astronomy. But here we have an image that's not just a Southern Cross; it's everything else that's there. Who would have thought? It's amazing. I have to be honest. I actually spent probably 20, 30 minutes just cruising around the high-resolution image. There were stars everywhere. It's perfectly processed. It really spoke to me. And looking at the coal sack at the bottom of the image, that's supposed to be dark and a hole in the sky, but it's full of hydrogen nebulosity. There's just so many objects in an area that you would have thought there'd be nothing. And as you scan around, my jaw was on the ground. Very modest equipment, beautifully put together, faultless, fantastic image.
Thank you so much, Mike. Now, Steve, you've scored this one just out of gold, so could we hear from you, please?
Yeah, first of all, I think it's an awesome image. The Southern Cross presented like this is really great. The only reason I didn't go like full tilt with it would be actually the nebulosity. It's just the balance between the stars and the nebulosity. I wasn't 100% sure about like the handling of the shadows and hydrogen. I really like it, but it feels a little, I don't know. Maybe the progression between the bright and the fainter areas, like I wasn't 100% convinced on it. That's kind of why I didn't go higher, but it's pretty exceptional. I maybe nudged the higher here.
Thank you, Steve.
Good boy.
Let's hear from one of our American colleagues on this one as well. Alyssa, could you talk to the image, please?
Of course. So, because I'm not in Australia and I'm in North America, I love seeing this because it's just a view that I don't get to see, and to see it in that sort of almost like you're seeing it from the ground, I just think is the awesomeness of it is just so wonderful, and just the pure effort and the seamless mosaicing in this. I feel like I had to give it a gold. I do understand what Steve is saying about sort of like the domination of that H alpha. I think it's just like H alpha usually is more of like an accent piece, but at the same time, I understand like you're trying to get like that signal, and the time that it took to get that signal, you'd want to use it. So that I totally understand what everyone's saying about this image.
Thank you so much. So everyone, as this is a Panel Mentors challenge, you are all now free to rescore this image. So please do so now. And the image has gone up a point to 93. Congratulations to the entrant. Very well done. Very exciting. Could we have take a moment, take a breath. Oh, and just a procedural thing. Feel free to use the button to raise your hand if there's at any time you'd like to comment. Next image, please. This is the Anteater Nebula in the constellation Australis. The image shows dark dust clouds contrasting with blue reflection nebulae surrounding bright stars. This is taken at Harkos in Namibia on a ZWO ASI 2600 MC Pro with a Takahashi Epsilon 130D telescope using a UV IR cut filter, total integration time of 5.5 hours. And this image has scored 87, a very solid silver award. What do you think, Alyssa? Do you want to have a crack at this one? You've given this one a gold at 92.
Yeah, I think it's really hard to capture sort of these dusty areas and make the dust look like itself the object of focus, and to make it look interesting. So I just love sort of the ghostliness of it all, and I feel like the resolution's very nice, and I think the color balancing is very nice, and just the motion of the clouds, how it's just sort of starting on the left and then it's sort of cycling back, and then so yeah, just the overall experience as a viewer, I really enjoy.
Thank you so much. Steve, you've given this one 82. Could we hear from you, please, sir?
Yeah, I really like the composition of the image overall, the color balance, the handling of the star cluster too. My only kind of comment about this is I don't think there's enough integration time to really not over denoise the dust, and I'm just seeing just a bit of smearing from the noise reduction personally, which is yeah, that's kind of why to me I'm just seeing too much of what processing has been done, and it's distracting a little bit. It's a southern target. I see this image a lot. I've processed this image myself, and yeah, I'm just seeing the technical issues, but otherwise it's a beautiful frame.
Thank you so much, Steve. Kevin, you've given this one an almost gold at 88. Could we hear from you, please, sir?
Yeah, so I mean, as was said, it is quite nice and sharp. The dust has been handled well. I agree with Steve, a little bit too much noise reduction, but when we look at the darkest part of the dust, we still see information. And that's one of the first things I look for in a dust cloud is have we clipped the blacks inside the dust? And they did not. And the star cluster handled magnificently well. That is really hard to do with that dust. What would have put it over the edge for me would be some hydrogen alpha here. There are some beautiful little HA details that add that third color, by the way, as well, and really make it a much more dynamic presentation. So I say go get it, and let's see it again.
Alrighty then. Alyssa, bring it home.
Yeah, so I see what everyone is saying. I think that would be more impactful if you had sort of that extra filter. But I think as overall, just looking at it from sort of like not like in the wide view, it's just the silhouette, the contrast, and like people were mentioning, just the nice compression of the dynamic range, including the star cluster and the dust. I still think I'm going to be strong on the gold.
Alrighty then. Well, Alyssa's calling for gold. Her score of 92 is locked in. Everyone else is now free to rescore. Image has gone up a point to 88. Every point counts. Thank you, Alyssa, for going to bat for the entrant. Next image, please. There's no entry statement for this one, but it's taken from a backyard in Kilsyth South. ZWO 2600 mm Pro, a ZWO FF65 Apo telescope, Antlia filters. They've used RGB and SHO, total of 16.5 hours. Kevin, just need your score, please. Thank you. Right, this image has scored a silver award, 83. Congratulations to the entrant. Now, the judges are almost of one mind here. They've given it an almost identical score. So let's hear from Nico, please, for some feedback for the entrant.
Yeah, I think it's a very dynamic composition, and I like the flow of it. And then there's certain parts that my eye is definitely drawn to. The one thing I'd note is that in the upper left-hand corner, there's a cluster that was definitely trying to be emphasized, but I feel like maybe a little bit too much because the stars just look like a little too artificially bright there in the upper left-hand corner.
So a little more subtle treatment, perhaps?
Yeah.
Very good. Thank you, Nico, for the feedback. Could we have the next image, please? The entry statement, a sprawling tangle of shock waves and ionized gas. This supernova remnant spans light years, preserving the ancient echoes of a massive star's explosive death. Location is Queensland, Australia, Bortle 6 environment. This is taken on a William Optics Red Cat 51 using a ZWO ASI 2600 mm Pro, Antlia filters, a total exposure time of 36 hours and 50 minutes using HA, O3 and RGB. And the image score is 85. A very solid silver award. Congratulations to the entrant. The judges are almost unanimous with their scoring here. So let's hear from Kevin Moorfield for some feedback for the entrant, please, sir.
Yeah, so this is very pretty. The colors are very nice. I like the rich red that was achieved in the icy blue. Stars seem to be handled pretty well from my first glance. Mostly the reason why I didn't rate it higher was composition. We've got it kind of centered on a bit of a negative space in the middle, and so my eye ends up bouncing around just a little bit, and some of the more interesting bits are over on the left. So whether it's a little bit different framing, or maybe it should be a mosaic or something like that, I think improving composition would make it better for me, but it's still a very pretty and dynamic image.
Thank you, Kevin. Sometimes we see the face of Vela. If you rotate the image 90 degrees counterclockwise, you can see Homer Simpson in there.
There he is.
And now you can't unsee it, right? Mike, did you want to contribute anything to this one?
Yeah, I just wanted to make a comment that everything Kevin said, spot on. The composition little bit cut off on the left there. The reason I didn't give a little bit more marks is the color of the O3. It always looks nicer if it's just a little bit more teal, just a little bit more sort of blue teal, slightly too Isanish. That's all. So just some feedback. It's a fantastic image. Why didn't you get it slightly higher? For me, that's why.
Thank you so much. That's really valuable feedback to maintain a color perhaps slightly closer to the wavelength that the O3
maybe.
runs in.
I think that would work better. Yeah.
Thank you, Mike. Next image, please. This is a wide field image of the Large Magellanic Cloud, or the LMC, our closest neighbor galaxy at a distance of 158,200 light years, taken from Glanmere, New South Wales in Australia on a ZWO ASI 6200 camera with a Canon 200mm f2.8 lens. There's a total integration time of 24 hours and 20 minutes using RGB and HA. And we have a gold award at 90. Congratulations to the entrant. And once again, we have 3 judges into gold and a couple very close. So I think we'll take another Panel Mentors challenge on this one, if that's okay with you guys. So once again, I'll call on some of you to speak, and there will be no rights of reply, but you'll be all free to rescore. Kevin, you're the highest at 93. Could we hear from you, please?
Yeah. Well, first off, I like the framing quite a bit. The resolution is actually really good for a 200mm lens. I was a bit surprised with that. I like how the HA is being blended with the RGB data. And really, it just looks like I'm seeing what I see in the sky when I'm in the Southern Hemisphere, but in more enhanced. Just it feels like something I could look up and see. So it felt really good to me.
Thank you so much. Mike, you've scored this just out of gold. Could we hear from you, sir?
Yeah, I think Kevin's comments are pretty good. It's a fantastic rendition of the Large Magellanic Cloud. At first, the fainter areas, patches around the outside, initially I was thinking, are they real, or is that a kind of a vignetting problem? So I actually did some checking on online, and that's real. They are actually parts of the outer parts of the galaxy. So that's pretty good. I think for me, I was just missing some impact for it to get into the gold. But it's a beautiful, natural version of this galaxy, which we see so beautifully in the Southern Hemisphere.
So someone who doesn't see this in the Southern Hemisphere perhaps is Alyssa. Could you comment on this one, please? You've given this a gold at 92.
Yes, I love the Large Magellanic Cloud just because it has a lot of star forming regions. And as someone who works with web, like I don't get to see it in this sort of grand fashion. So I love seeing images like this. And I just think it, like people are saying, it feels natural. And I think that's so accurate. It's really hard to like take an image and then really enhance it without going too far. And I think this does it so good. I think the colors are really balanced. I love that I can go in there and be like, hey, you know, that's the Tarantula Nebula. And the H alpha is just, I think the accents with the H alpha is handled really, really well.
Well, thanks everybody. That was a chairperson's challenge, so you're all now free to rescore the image as you see fit. And the image has gone up a point to 91. Congratulations to the entrant, a very solid gold award. Well done. Next image, please. So the entry statement. This is an image of an area on the edge of constellation Vela, shot in HA and SI with RGB stars from Forbes in Victoria. ZWO ASI 2600 mm Pro camera, a Stellarvue SVX 80T 3SV telescope, astronomic filters RGB, HA and S2. We are looking at a total integration time of 22 hours. And the image score is 84, a very solid silver award. Congratulations to the entrant. We have no challenges for this one, so we'll call on a comment from, let's hear from Mike Sidonio. You're closest to the average, Mike, at 83.
Yeah, cool. Obviously a beautiful image. I think everybody watching this around the world just needs to remember we are looking here at the top 25 images entered in this competition. They're all excellent in their own right. So we're looking for all small nuances and feedback and how does it make us feel and how technically well is it done. And this has nothing really lets it down. Just the nature of the object itself lacks a little bit of interest. That's all. Other than that, it's fantastic.
Thank you so much, Mike. Could we have the next image, please? So the entry statement is Comet C 2021 S3 Pan-STARRS crossing Cygnus with Weinberger 110 PK 086 plus 05.1 to the right, taken from Heidelberg in Germany on a TS Hypergraph 6, a Takahashi E130D, and we have got a total integration time of 24.3 hours in LRGB, H alpha, and O3. And this image has scored a gold at 91. Boom, straight in there. And you know what? We're going to do it again. But this time we're going to take this on as an elective challenge because we have one judge that is considerably higher in gold than all the others. And that'll be Steve. You've given this one 94. You've got lots and lots of support. So let's see what happens if we debate this one. This is an elective challenge for you, sir.
Amazing just image to be able, and the composition, like having a comet like that in there, and then the parallel with like I think that a planetary nebula here on the left side, and the trail of O3, the big band of H alpha in the middle, the beautiful stars. It's really super impactful image. The first time I saw it, I felt connected to it. I think it's a really awesome job and not something you see very often. It's kind of a rare sight. So it was definitely a high gold for me.
Well, let's hear from Alyssa. You've scored this one just very well, but a little lower than the others.
Yeah, no, I can tell this is an amazing capture. Like the ability to do this and the planning that went into this is incredible. I think my only issue is that there's too much going on almost for me to sort of focus on one thing. And it's so bright and sort of saturated in the red that I just get a little overwhelmed, but it's amazing. Like, I mean, it's amazing. You've got so much data in there. I just don't know how to process it, I think.
Kevin, you've given this straight into gold at 90.
Yeah, I mean, obviously, as Steve said, this is a very unique image, and it's really interesting, and I spent a lot of time looking at it. The things that maybe kept me from scoring a little bit higher is the red seemed a little bit oversaturated to me, and I would have liked to have seen that planetary dialed back a little bit so I could see more detail on it. But you know, getting that comment and putting this all together still makes it I think a good solid gold for me.
Steve, you've got lots of support. See what happens with your right of reply.
I think I totally agree with a saturation point. And normally I'm someone who like more subtle saturation, but here I'm seeing this as a good pop song. You know what I mean? It actually really needed to like strike you visually to make you look at it in a different light. So here I actually enjoy the push in saturation in a way that's not normally something I really like, but here I see how effective it is.
Thank you, Steve. Steve, you're locked in at 94. That everyone else is now free to rescore this one. And the image has gone up to 91. Congratulations, a very solid gold award. Steve, I think that's my quote for the day. This image is a very solid pop song.
That's it.
I love it. That's fantastic. I love the reference and the analogy. Could we have the next image, please? This image shows integrated flux nebula IFN clouds in the constellation Chameleon, together with the visible irregular galaxy IC 3104. This is taken in Hakos in Namibia on an ASCA FRA 400 using ASI 2600 camera, ZWO IR cut filters. We're looking at a total integration time of 8 hours and 35 minutes. This image scores 90, a gold award. And it's a very unanimous gold award with almost all the scores level there. Are we happy with the 90? Would anyone like to challenge this? Because your scores are very similar in this one. All right, I think we'll accept the 90 in this case. It's a very good score. So let's get some feedback on this one from Steve, please.
First, beautiful image, great handling of the dust. Something I have personal experience with at this exact framing. I took an image of that exactly pretty much like that. And so I really appreciate the processing in there. The only thing I would say is some of the finer details. I can see some of a deconvolution, a little bit of graininess in some of the sharpening in these very faint details. It's really hard to get with this target, but otherwise the color of the dust, the handling of the shadow areas, really great. So really well done to the photographer.
All right, thank you so much. And Mike, did you want to contribute a comment for the entrant?
Yeah, I just wanted to say it has a lovely sense of movement. That could be a a dust devil blowing in a gentle breeze. I really like the movement of it.
Thank you, Mike. All righty, we'll go to the next image, and after this next image, we'll take a 5-minute break. So this image is NGC 7000, presented in SHO. Tried to bring out all the dark nebula layers and the faint SI signal inside the O3 areas. This is taken from a backyard in Arizona on a William Optics FLT 91 with an ASI 2600 mm camera and Lear filters. It's taken in SHO with a total of 54 hours and 15 minutes of integration. Alrighty, this is where the fur starts flying. This will be fun. This image score is 85, but we're not stopping there. We have something we call an automatic challenge. Now, an automatic challenge happens when one judge is more than 10 points away from the announced score. So in this case, that's Steve. Steve will call on you to comment on the image. We'll have a little debate, but there won't be a right of reply for this one. So in this case, you get to go first in fairness to the image. So could you please talk to the image, sir?
Yes, absolutely. Look, this image is something that when I first saw it, I really just had a great emotional connection to it. To me, it's like at the intersection of art and science. Like, it's a presentation. It looks like an art piece, really. And now I know this is only available in the northern hemisphere, so you guys up north, you see this image a lot. I don't, but I see a lot of it, like posted on Astrophotography, things like that. I think here the handling of the colors is really beautiful. It's not pushed too hard. The dust is beautiful. There's maybe a little bit of deconvolution here, but I think it's really well handled. And just again, it's just with that combination of art and science brought together. It's one of the nicest images of this target I've seen. So this is why I've scored it like that. I really have an emotional incline to, connection to this image. So
thank you so much, Steve. Now, two of our North American colleagues have scored this at 80. Let's hear from Nico on this one, please.
Yeah, I really liked how much separation they got with the dark nebula separating the North America and Pelican, and it really feels in front. So and it's also very detailed. The reason I gave it a lower score is personally I didn't like the star processing. There's a lot of these bigger stars, but then they've made all the medium-sized stars very, very small. So when I'm looking at it zoomed out, I can't see anything but the bigger stars. And it's just not my favorite in terms of how the stars are processed. But other than that, I think the nebula is beautifully done.
Thank you so much. And keeping it within the United States, Alyssa, your score of 86. Could we hear from you, please?
Yeah, I think it is a very unique view of the Trifid Nebula, and I haven't seen it framed in this way, so I find that so cool that like the focus is sort of the dust sort of in front. I think since everything is a bit subtle, like the colors are not too vibrant, it's like more like of an organic feel. I would like to see that dust not as dark, just because it doesn't seem like it's going for that high contrast type look. So that's my only comment there.
Alrighty. Now that's what we call an automatic challenge. So everyone is now free to rescore this image. And if you could now do that, please. And you, Steve, please. This image remains at 85. Congratulations to the entrant on a very solid silver award. We're going to take a short 5-minute break now, folks. If you'd like to join us again, we'll be right back. Thank you so much.
Oh my God, look at that picture over there. There's the Earth coming up. Wow, is that pretty.
welcome back to the judging of the Deep Space category of the Astrophotography Prize. This category brought to you by our friends at Chroma Technology, and our overall sponsor is Celestron. Thank you so much. We couldn't do this without you. We're going to carry on with the judging. We're halfway through. Could we have the next image, please? And this is the Chameleon 1 molecular cloud complex close to the southern celestial pole. Its grandeur needs to be shared. It's photographed from the entrance backyard in Port Stephens, New South Wales, Australia, on a Stellarvue SVX 102T telescope with a series of chroma filters. We love chroma here. And ZWO 2600 mm Pro camera. Total integration time of 22 hours in LRGB. Thank you, team. This image has scored 87. That's a very solid silver award. Alyssa, do you want to take it on?
Yes, absolutely.
Good for you.
Yes, it is very grandeur. Like I really see the majesty. It feels kind of like a dragon, like emerging from the darkness. I don't know. I'm thinking Lord of the Rings here. So I'm really enjoying just the feel of it and the crispness of the dust and the contrast between the dust and the background. I like, and I also just sort of like the balance between sort of the noise and the noise suppression, where it doesn't feel like it's too much for me. When you get into sort of these like, these areas where you need a lot of signal. Yeah, it just feels really grand. I don't think I've seen it like this, so I really enjoy it.
Thank you. Nico, you've given this a good score, just not quite as high as some of the others. Could we hear from you, please?
Yeah, for me the contrast here is perfect. The sky is dark but not too dark, and it does have some nice, very wispy feel to it. I just felt it was missing a little bit of detail when I zoomed in on some of the brighter parts, and maybe the composition could be a little improved.
Thank you so much. Now, right on the average score, Kevin Moorfield, let's hear from you, please.
Yeah. Well, I like the comments about the sky. The stars have done well as well. I love this object. I've never seen it before. I just haven't been in the Southern Hemisphere long enough, I guess. Oh, and by the way, is that a like Hubble's variable nebula type of object in there? That's a nice little Easter egg that I see in there, that bright V. What I wanted to see slightly different was I wanted to bring up that darkest area of the dust. It got clipped, and so I feel like I've lost some detail in there. And I felt like there was a little bit too much noise reduction. I thought you lost some of the detail in that dark dust. So those were the two main things.
All righty, thank you so much. Well, we've had a bit of a discussion there. Alyssa, back to you, please.
Yeah, I'm gonna stay strong and say that I think it's magical. I would put it on a cover. I don't know, it excites the imagination. I just really enjoy the overall like shape and silhouette of it. So that's why I am going for gold.
Thank you, Alyssa. This image is currently scored 87. Alyssa's score of 92 is locked in. Everyone else is now free to rescore. Image has gone up a point. 88. Every point counts. Thanks, Alyssa, for going into bat for the entrant. Great feedback there, team. Good debate. Could we have the next image, please? So this is one of the deepest images of HCI Persei double cluster, without overdone star reduction to make the stars shine bright and colourful. Image is taken from Bamberg in Germany on a QHY 294M, a Takahashi E130D telescope using astronomic LRGB and HA filters. Total integration time of 71 hours. And just a reminder for those watching on the live stream, the judges have all of this technical information at their fingertips and the ability to pixel peep and zoom in at 100% on every image. This image has gone straight to gold at 90. Congratulations to the entrant. We have 3 judges in gold, and one of them is a little higher than all of the others. So we'll take an elective challenge on this one from Nico. Take it away, sir.
Thank you, Andy. Yeah, I really like this image. It just immediately, when it popped up on my screen, just struck me as something beautiful. Just there's a lot going on, so it's a little bit chaotic, but I sometimes like these chaotic images, especially when they're in such natural color with the stars being so beautiful in the cluster. And it's just the perfect equipment for it too, with the nice big star spikes. So yeah, I really didn't find anything I didn't like about it.
Thank you so much. Steve, you've given this a good solid silver at 83. Could we hear from you, please, sir?
Yeah, sure. I mean, I also like enjoy the impact of the image. I think for me, where it fell a little bit short is in the nebulosity and some of dust. Obviously, there's a huge amount of integration time here, so the signal would have been good, but it felt a bit smoothed out, and I don't know. It's just the balance between the stars and the sky and the dust slash hydrogen. I don't know. It's not feeling perfectly in sync with me personally. But otherwise, like excellent, impactful image.
Thank you, Steve. Mike Sidonio, you're one of our resident experts on shiny stars. Could we hear from you, please, sir?
I love stars. Yes, this image for me was actually a little bit of an enigma. So as soon as I saw it, I went, wow. And then I sort of went, it's almost like it's been a victim of its own beauty in a sense. The photographer's gone for that deep reveal of the dust. And as a result, aesthetically, it's kind of washed the image out a little bit. It doesn't mean it's not valid, doesn't mean it's not real. That's just then how it affects the visual emotion of the image. The fantastic, bright, shiny stars. I love seeing that. Stars should look like stars. Done that in spades. So I think here, I'm not giving it a pretty good score. It's simply just that the reason it looks the way it does makes it look a little slightly soft. That's all.
Thank you so much. Nico, you've got plenty of support. This image is already a gold. Bring it home.
Yeah, I guess I don't mind a slightly soft image, and for me, just something about compared to all the other images, this one being so full of stars really sets it apart. So I guess when you're looking at lots of images, when you all of a sudden see something very different, it can sometimes wow you, and this one wowed me immediately.
Fantastic. You're all free to rescore the image. Nico, you're locked in at 94. And the image is still gold, solid gold at 90. Congratulations to the entrant. Really well done. That's a very, very pretty image. Next image, please. Entrance statement, a 2-panel mosaic revealing the rosette's heart and petals. This star-forming complex glows with sculpted gas, dust columns, and stellar winds shaping a cosmic plume. The location is Hillcrest in Queensland, Australia, in a Bortle 6 environment, with an ASCAR 130 PHQ telescope, an ASI 2600mm Pro camera, Antlia SHO filters using HA, O3, and doubly ionized sulfur, 37 hours and 30 minutes exposure. Image score is 87, a very solid silver award. Congratulations to the entrant. Judges are almost of one mind here. They're within literally a point of one another. Let's hear from Alyssa on this one for some feedback, please, for the entrant.
Yeah, this is beautiful. The coloring, I love the color separation. I love the color palette overall. I think that's so effective and it's so beautiful. I think it just gets a little bit too sharpened. I feel like in the dark spots, just like a tad for me, where it feels just like a slightly over processed, but like, and maybe it's like really bright in the center. And then maybe I just want like a tiny bit more detail in the sort of surrounding area, just because it seems like a little bit dim. But overall, I just think it's a beautiful image and it does have good contrast overall.
Thank you so much, Alyssa. There's some fun moments of pareidolia within this image as well. When you pixel
Sure is.
peep, there's a leaping cheetah If you look near the center at about 4 o'clock, there's a dust lane that resembles a leaping cheetah, and there's almost a shape of a mermaid in the oxygen towards the center there at the top left as well. It's a fascinating target. Well done to the entrant. Mike, did you just want to throw something in there for us?
Yeah, just lastly, I just wanted to say to the photographer, what a fantastic image. It's impactful. It was wow, had a real wow factor. And then when you go in close, I have to kind of echo the comments, just verging on those dark, inky bits, just starting to look just a little bit overdone, tiny bit. And in the lower left-hand quadrant, the stars have been sort of dimmed and washed out, probably in a processing technique. That's why I couldn't quite put it into the gold. Otherwise, it would have been a gold for me.
Sensational feedback. I'm sure the entrant will find that valuable. Thank you, Mike. Could we go to the next image, please? All righty. The Orion Nebula M42, shown with extended dust structures. The image presents a colourful star-forming region, one of the brightest in the entire sky. This is photographed from Poland on a ZWO ASI 2600 mm Pro using a Takahashi Epsilon 130D telescope and a UV IR cut filter. A total integration time of 13 hours and 25 minutes. This image has scored 88, which is a very solid silver award. We have 2 judges in the 90s, though, so we should take a challenge, the highest of which is Alyssa. Over to you.
Yeah, I know the Orion Nebula has been done many times before. I never get tired of seeing it. I think what's unique about this one is I never sort of see the bottom component underneath of the Orion Nebula. So just having like those little bits of pink and blue and this sort of line makes it feel so like dynamic and like movement and like the tendrils, and the contrast of pockets of light and dark. It really works for me.
Thank you so much. Now, everyone's given this a very good score, but the lowest of the very good scores is 85. Steve, that's you. Could you comment, please?
First, really great processing of Orion, as Alicia said. We see a lot of Orion pictures out there. So the problem with that is that when you're going to do a rendition of that in a competition sense, I'm really looking for the X factor to really put this into gold. This is extremely well executed, but I'm not really getting. It's not something I haven't seen before. So that's my only kind of small comment here. Really well executed. It's just I've seen it quite a bit before. That's all.
Thank you. Almost on the average. Nico, you've given this one 87. What direction do you think you'd like to go with your score?
I think I'm going to stay firm. I feel pretty strongly that it's a very good silver because it's technically, I don't see any faults, and I was looking for them in terms of the capture, and I really like the composition. But as Steve said, it's hard with Orion to elevate it, and I have seen images like this. And then I guess I said technically I don't see any faults, but for me, the HDR effect maybe just a tad overdone in terms of it's so busy in the middle there and then when we get to the dust, it's a lot softer that it doesn't really gel quite in my eye.
Thank you so much. Alyssa, back to you. You have support from Kevin at 90.
Yeah, no, I totally understand what people are saying. I think for me, sort of like that extra sort of sharpness in the center around Orion, like is almost like a, like a motion comic book. So it's more artistic for me. And so I really like it. And I also just like there's so much detail in here. There's like a little bit of Herbig Haro optics in there. There's just a lot to unpack with this image. I could look at it for a long time.
Thank you, team. Everyone, you're free to rescore. Alyssa, we've locked you in with your 92. Image remains at 88, a very strong solid silver award. Congratulations. Sometimes poor old Orion is regarded as the craft cheese of nebulas. It's beautiful, but everyone's got some in the fridge. So Can we move on to the next image, please? LDN 1448 is a very rarely photographed dust region where intense star-forming processes are taking place. This is taken from Borchow in Poland on a ZWO ASI 2600 mm-C using a TS Newton 8-inch f5 carbon telescope and Lear filters and LRGB 48 hours and 12 minutes total integration time. And this image has gone straight to gold at 91. Wow. Well, we have several judges in gold, and we have one that's a little higher than all the others. So we'll take this as an elective challenge. Steve, that's you. You're on 94. Take it away, sir.
Just look, absolutely fantastic image. To me, this is how dust should be processed. It's like the movement of it, the handling of lower surface brightness region. It's been really well done. You zoom in, and there's still noise and grain in the image, and that's what makes it look beautiful to me. It hasn't been like smoothed out with noise reduction. Really thoroughly enjoy this view. It's very dynamic, it's very beautiful.
Thank you so much, Steve. Kevin, you've almost gone there. You're at 88. Could we hear from you, please?
I love the dust. Just looks like little brown pillows floating in space. So hard to do and done very well. My reticence here, or maybe what took a point or two off for me, was actually composition, because my eye keeps flowing right down to the little interesting objects that are right on the edge down at the bottom. The little kind of comet-looking thing and the red, maybe it's a Herbig-Haro or something. And I want that to have a little buffer, so it feels like it's in the image instead of right on the edge. So I almost feel like it'd be better off if we cropped it up, if it wasn't possible to go down a little bit. But it's still a beautiful image. Maybe I'll go up. I don't know.
Well, let's see what happens with Steve's right of reply. Steve, take it away, sir.
I think you can definitely go up a bit. You love your dust. I agree. Like actually, like the thing you mentioned about the framing, my eyes, they tend to be actually going more back and forth between that beautiful bubbly structure and the blue on the left side. So I didn't get that. But I can see that maybe framing it a little bit down would be great. But overall, I think considering the difficulty and how well it's handled, and just the fact that it's not over denoised, and everyone is over denoising these days, massive prop up.
So, Steve, you're locked in at 94. The image is currently on 91. Everyone else is free to rescore. The image now scores 92. Very solid gold. Congratulations to the entrant. Well done. Next image, please. The Rho Ophiuchi Nebula Complex near Antares. The image shows colourful clouds of dust and gas, one of the most recognisable star-forming regions. This is taken from Hakos in Namibia on a ZWO ASI 2600 MC Pro, a Takahashi Epsilon 130D, and a UV IR cut filter. We're looking at 3 panels, each with 90 180-second exposures for a total integration time of about 13.5 hours. And the image has scored 90. Gold award, congratulations. Now, all of the judges' scores are pretty similar here, but Alyssa, you are a little higher than the others. So I think you should take on an elective challenge for this one. Is that okay?
Yeah. Yeah, no, I love Roa Fuki. It's just a beautiful image. I've seen it done many times, but I don't think I've seen it quite like this, where it's really sort of in these bubbles. And I love just the separation of the red, the blue. It's just so compelling as like a composition. The only thing I wish I got is just a little bit more resolution when I zoom in, but like I don't feel like I can complain. Like I think it's just a really gorgeous image.
Thank you. Nico, your score suggests there's some room to grow here. Could we hear from you, please, sir?
Yeah, I love the composition with it. It's sort of coming up into that red and blue part at the top. For me, the saturation is a little too high, and then I also just have a small quibble with the star processing. When I zoom in, they look very, very small, but also very, very sharp, like they're like a little overly deconvolved or something.
Thank you so much. Mike, you've given this one right on the 90. Could we hear from you, please, sir?
Yeah, so I note this was taken with a one-shot color camera. Am I correct?
Yep, correct.
Yeah. So I looked at it and went, wow, pretty good. So basically that's what this looks like in color in a natural way. We see a lot of images of the Roa area, and they're always very colorful, fantastic as well. But I think what grabbed me with this image was its natural believability. When I looked at it, I thought, if my eyes were more sensitive to color at low light levels, and I looked up in the sky with a little bit of magnification, that's what I'd see. So that's why it spoke to me, and I was umming and ahhing. I think it deserved a gold for that reason.
Thank you, Mike. Alyssa, you've got plenty of support. The image has already scored 90, so bring it home.
Yeah, just what everyone was saying, what Mike was saying about just the natural feel of it, I think is very interesting when something feels like it's so close and obtainable to like reality, but still marvelous. So you're like, it's real, this is beautiful. Yeah, I just love the overall composition. So definitely deserves gold in my opinion.
Well, we're locking in your score of 92. Everyone else is free to rescore now. And this image remains at 90. Very solid gold award. Congratulations. And a great discussion there. And thank you, Mike. That's the eyes with the rods and the cones, isn't it? Our cones aren't as sensitive as the rods. So our rods see the amount of light, but the cones see the color. And because our cones are not as sensitive, we don't see the amazing colors in space. Wouldn't it be cool if we
wouldn't
could?
it? Saucer eyes.
Next image, please. Entry statement is a radiant star cradle in Centaurus. This image reveals IC2944's glowing gas, Bok globules, and young stars racing through a sculpted nebula landscape. It's taken from Queensland, Australia in a Bortle 6 environment on an ASCAR 130 PHQ telescope with an ASI 2600 mm Pro camera. Antlia filters using HA03 and doubly ionized sulfur with RGB for the stars. Total integration time, 23 hours and 20 minutes. Image score is 85. We have one judge hovering into the gold, so let's have a discussion about this image. Nico, take it away. You've just dropped this one into the gold. Let's talk about it.
Yeah, this one grew on me. At first, I wasn't sure about the composition, but then the more I looked at it, the more I liked it. And the other thing I wasn't sure about was the green and on the left-hand side. But then again, the more I looked at it, the more I liked it as a sort of contrast to the right side. And so, yeah, I just really liked all the details, and it was definitely one that the more I looked at it, the more I liked it, and it just pushed it into gold for me.
Thank you so much, Nico. Now, every other judge has scored this 84. So let's call on someone a little more local for this one. Mike, could we hear from you, please, sir?
Oh, sure. This is a really nice image, like they all are. When, as I said before, 25 of the best images you've ever seen. It's very hard to separate them all. So when I first looked at this, I just felt the colors were just a little bit under. They weren't grabbing me. There wasn't the sort of dynamics in the color itself. The composition slightly off too for me. The left-hand side, I think, could have been just cropped a little bit. When I zoom in on the Bok globules, that's one of the things I do on this nebula. Do they look real? Are they over sharpened? Have they been given some AI sharpening? And to me, just a little bit too much on that area. But these are picky little things, and that's the only difference between most of these images. So well done to the photographer.
Thank you, Mike. Just for the folks at home, what is a Bok globule?
It's basically a molecular cloud that's opaque. It probably has some something going on in the middle of it. No star has formed yet. So it tends to block the light from the brighter nebula behind it.
Fantastic. Nico, back to you for your right of reply, sir.
Yeah, just one more thing I'd add is zoomed in on this lower part. There's just an incredible amount of depth in the gas. You really feel like some soft parts in front, and then it draws you in. So I like a lot of the details zoomed in on this image.
Thank you, folks. Nico scored this one a gold. He's locked in at 90. Everyone else is free to rescore. The image remains at 85. Very solid silver award. Congratulations. That's known as the Running Chicken Nebula, I believe. Have no idea what they think they were seeing when they named that one, but that's okay. That's a conversation for another day.
No, let's have it now.
Next image, please. Title, Another Day, Another Dollar. A day of exposure on the Silver Dollar Galaxy, including some HA to accentuate the underlying spiral structure. The location is Golden Grove and the Pendlebury Ranges in South Australia, with a ZWO ASI 294mm Pro camera, a GSO RC 8-inch telescope, chroma filters, an exposure integration time of 24 hours in LRGB, and a 5 nanometer HA filter. Should also mention for the folks at home that the judges have had a good long chance to preview these images 24 hours before. So it's not like they're kind of just rushing in and going, that's a gold. They've given this a plenty of thought. This image has scored 87, almost unanimously. Congratulations to the entrant, a very fine image. Well done. Let's hear from one of our resident galaxy experts, Kevin Moorfield. Could we have some feedback from you on this one, please, sir?
Well, I wanted to cheer. Yay, a galaxy. I love galaxies. This was actually the first thing I shot when I got to the Southern Hemisphere with a long focal length telescope. And mine was much bigger, but this looks pretty close in resolution. So this is impressive. The dust is very well rendered. The HA has been added very deftly. Where I had a little bit of arguments, though, was with the background. We clipped the background, and there's a bit of too harsh of an edge there, I think. And some of the stars also look like they have a little bit too hard of an edge for my taste. So I'd like to see that background brought up. I'll bet that's in the data already, but what a beautiful galaxy.
Thank you so much, Kevin, and I'm sure that's valuable feedback. Could we have the next image, please? Peering into the galactic core, the Lagoon and Trifid nebulae glow against a dense star field, dark lanes cutting across hidden gems scattered throughout the view. It's taken from Gidgeganup in Western Australia on a ZWO ASI 71MC Pro with a Celestron, hey Celestron, our category sponsor, RASA 11 telescope. And we're looking at 474 30-second exposures across 4 panels. We're looking at a four-panel mosaic, a total of 4 hours exposure on the RASA. Congratulations. This image scores a gold unanimously. This is the first time we've seen every judge going straight to gold. So I'm going to pull on my chairman's hat again, and I'm going to call a chairperson's challenge here. So once again, I'll call on some of you to comment. You'll all be free to rescore. And currently the highest is Kevin. So let's hear from you, please, sir.
Well, this image is about the stars, obviously. There does happen to be a nebula in there, but you've got these lovely gold star clouds, and I like the fact that it looks like a cloud of stars. We see some really nice HA and nebulas in there, and some blue stars that are kind of peppered throughout these sort of older, dusty red stars. What I would like to see a little bit more of, though, is those blue stars. I think they could have been a little bit more prominent. There are some places where I think the stars have faded a little bit against the brighter nebulosity. But taken as a whole, I think it's very pretty.
Thank you so much. Steve, let's hear from you, please.
Yeah, to me, it just felt like an homage to the Vera Rubin first shot, which was exactly in
Yeah, I
frame.
agree.
And also, what's like, getting these gold stars, that gold kind of blanket of stars, looking right is actually really difficult. And then I looked at the gear. Okay, so one shot color, pretty much UV IR filter. This is like purity. 4 hours, amazing. And especially for like getting these super sharp stars at that f ratio is difficult. This is really well done. Maybe the only I don't know, it's really well balanced for me. Maybe a little bit more blues. I think the blues are a little bit washed out in some of reflection nebulae, and I agree with Kevin, a little bit more blue stars to give it a bit of pop. But yeah, it's excellent image.
Thank you so much. Alyssa, anything to contribute for this one?
Yeah, not much, a whole lot to add. I agree with what everyone said. I love these context images where you really feel like, oh, I'm looking at the Milky Way band, and like it's just nice to have that image where I'm like, oh yeah, I know where that is in the sky. So I really like it. I agree that a little bit more blue could help, but it is an amazingly detailed image. Maybe just like bringing down sort of the brightest areas in the nebula just a tad, just like the tiniest bit, but really amazing.
Well, thanks everybody. As this is a chairperson's challenge, you're all free to rescore this image now. And the image scores 90. Very solid silver award. Congratulations to the entrant. You won all 5 judges over. Well done.
Isn't it gold?
That is absolutely gold.
Gold award, yeah.
Gold award, yes, sir. And very, very homage to Vera Rubin, as was mentioned earlier. So
yeah, quite uncanny.
Fabulous image. Next image, please. The Cone Nebula in Monoceros, NGC 2264. This is an LRGB image, 0.75 degrees square. 2 astronomical objects, the Cone Nebula and the Christmas Tree Cluster, photographed from Wattle Flat in New South Wales, Australia, on a Celestron, go Celestron C11 Edge HD telescope, an SPIG 16803 camera, and astronomic LRGB filters, for a total integration time of 18 hours. And this image has scored 84. Congratulations, a very solid silver award. Well done. Judges are almost unanimous in their scoring range. They're all within 5 points. The closest one to the average is Alyssa. Could we hear from you, please, Alyssa?
Yeah, I think this is a very unique shot. I love just sort of this linear motion, diagonal motion. And I like many astrophotographers have been saying that it's nice to have a little bit of that detail, like a little bit of that noise to just feel like it's a little bit higher res, and not sort of over suppressed. I think what's not working as much for me is the palette feels like a little bit grayed out, like almost like there's like a just a color balancing issue here, but otherwise I think it's like very dynamic and there's a lot of structure going on.
So you'd like to see a little more saturation?
Maybe a little more saturation, and just like maybe just like a shift from the fuchsia into something that feels a little bit more less grayed out. Yeah, a little more vibrancy.
Nico, you've popped your hand up. Do you have some feedback for the entrant?
Yeah, just to follow on with what Alyssa was saying about the color balance, I feel like the dust along the edges just feel a little bit red or fuchsia when I think they should be more solid brown. But it definitely has great visual impact, and I like the bright stars a lot.
And thank you, Nico. And just quickly, Steve, you wanted to contribute something here on this one?
Yeah, like I think it's really beautifully done in the details, especially the blue reflection nebula and like the dust whispers that goes on top of it. I agree that it needs a little bit more saturation, but at the bottom near the cone, like the cone nebula is really well like rendered, and there's a little bit of whispery yellow also, which you rarely see. My only issues is the noise in the outside of the image is a little bit too much for me, and a little bit more saturation, and this would have been gold for me.
Thank you so much. Mike, very, very quickly. We just
Yes, just
push for
wanted to
time.
congratulate the imager because I note they're in New South Wales, so this object doesn't get very high, and as a result, it's not regularly imaged by astrophotographers in the Southern Hemisphere. So well done, whoever took that.
Congratulations to the entrant with a solid silver award. Could we have the next image, please? Entrant statement is a chaotic masterpiece of star birth in the Large Magellanic Cloud. This southern gem unveils cosmic turbulence, sculpted gas, and the universe's most intense stellar nursery. Image was taken from Hillcrest, Queensland in Australia and Bortle 6 environment, ASCAR 130 PHQ telescope, an ASI 2600 mm Pro camera, Antlia filters. We've used HA, S2 and O3 for a total integration time of 33 hours and 30 minutes. Just one more score. There we are. This image has scored 87. A very, very solid silver award, almost unanimously within the scoring range here. And I think we'll take a comment on this one, given the scoring is so close. From Alyssa, you mentioned the Tarantula Nebula earlier today. This is your domain.
Yes, no, it's so beautiful. It's so detailed. I love the colors. There's so much structure going on. I think because there's so much structure, I think it goes a little bit too far where you kind of lose a bit of the depth. I think that's what just took off points for me. It's just like you lose a little bit of depth when you sharpen things a little bit too much and everything's sort of the same weight. So I think that would be sort of my only a qualm, but like just the cavities and the filaments, it's all the texture, it's all very, very beautiful.
It is a beautiful image. It's such a huge nebula to try and kind of find the right bits of it to frame, I suppose, is always the challenge, because it's this big spidery web of tendrils and details and so forth. Just quickly, Kevin, you've imaged this before as well. Can I get your thoughts on the brightness range, particularly with regard to the core of the tarantula itself?
Well, the brightness, it's quite contrasting, the entire image. I wanted to just sort of bring the contrast down a little bit. The core is also very, very bright. And by the way, I didn't feel like I got this right on my image either. This thing is really hard. We have rendered it in white, which suggests it's also the brightest part of this image because it's colorless. It's gone over that 80-90% amount. But it should be the brightest as well, because it is by far the brightest in what we're seeing. So I don't know that I have a qualm with that per se. Maybe if the contrast was taken down a little bit, maybe the saturation a little bit, it would be easier to take in with your eye. But boy, chaotic. It really does display that chaos, doesn't it?
It sure does. Mike, you wanted to contribute something quickly for this one?
Yeah, I think on the same vein, when I look at this image, the brightest part of the tarantula, where the actual spider is by far and away the brightest part of this nebula. But if you look below it, the three brighter areas, the photographers overemphasized those, made them very bright, and they shouldn't be. The actual tarantula itself should be quite a bit brighter. Now, I recognize they're trying to get into the center there to see the detail, but the result is a slightly unnatural spread of brightnesses. And down here, there's another famous competition that's run by David Malin, and he often coined the term respecting the light. That means where something's bright, it should appear bright. Where something's faint, it should appear faint. And to get that right balance is actually very difficult. I think it's just missed the mark here. Otherwise, I could have given it a higher score.
Bang on. Thanks, Mike and Kevin and everyone for your comments there on that image. That's fantastic. Now, that is the last image in the category. You guys have been amazing. Thank you. It's been an absolute pleasure to chair this panel and to witness the scoring of all these amazing images. So I'm going to hand back to our host, Robyn, to tell the live stream what's going to happen next.
Thank you so much, Andy. Yes, that brings to a close the online judging for the Deep Space category for the 2025 Astrophotography Prize. Thank you so much to our panel of judges. Your feedback was incredible, and I'm sure it is so appreciated by our entrants. You know, you enter competitions and you don't get into that sort of finalist category and you wonder what happened, you know, what's going on, what were the judges thinking, and to hear things such as respecting the light and those sorts of statements that really explain, I guess, a deepened perspective as to what we're looking for with astrophotography images. That's absolute gold. So take it all on board. We've had some incredible images submitted, and even those that didn't make it into our top 26, there's still many, many images that have won awards. So congratulations to the entrants. Next time, you know, listen to the judging and you never know what you might come back with next year. Thank you to our major sponsor, Celestron, and our category sponsor, Chroma Technologies, as well as Sidereal, Deep Sky West, Move Shoot Move, Chroma, Astrobin, and of course, Astrography. Thank you to our online audience for tuning in and celebrating the excellence in astrophotography with us. Just a reminder, winners for this category will be announced during our live presentation this Friday, 19th September. So make sure it's in your calendar. We'll release exact times and live stream links very close to the date. We'll be back from 7 o'clock tonight for the judging of the remote imaging category. And until then, thank you for joining us, and we wish you all the best for clear skies ahead.
Oh my God, look at that picture over there. There's the Earth coming up. Wow, is that pretty?